What up, guys? Swifty here, coming at you with some more Chicago Bears NFL draft coverage. Today, we talk about some of my Bears draft crushes. These are guys I really want the Bears to end up with. I'm going to give you my top guys in the draft that I would love to add on day two. Quickly, before I get into it, these guys at least have a chance of being there at number 39. I'm going to also keep talking about this because most Bears fans and media still don't get it. I do not expect us to trade up from number 39. If anything, I think there is a really good chance we trade down with one of our first two picks. Let me just make my bold statement. This draft has the most depth of possibly any draft in NFL history. The extra year of eligibility paired with the amount of players who set out 2020 or had their season canceled due to COVID, and this draft has twice as many draft eligible players as usual. I'm talking about guys I love today, but I also want to stress even if we don't get the guy you really want, at least give me that time to break down the players that we do get. And without further ado, let's get to my draft crushes for the Chicago Bears 2022 NFL Draft. My top three draft crushes at wide receiver are guys I have already covered with in-depth scouting reports, so I won't go too deep here. But if either Traylon Burks, George Pickens, or Alec Pierce are on the board when the Bears have a pick, I want to see him end up in a Bears uniform. I believe all three of those guys have the potential to develop into true number one targets in the Bears passing offense. All three of those players would excite me a lot if they were to end up in Chicago. Wide receiver is one of the deepest classes in the draft, though, so if we miss out on these guys, don't fret. There's tons of later guys I like too, from John Mechie, Jalen Tolbert, and Sky Moore, down to guys like Romeo Doubs, David Bell, Justin Ross, and Samari Toure. We will have plenty of chances to add weapons at wide receiver, so let's move on to a couple of other of my draft crushes. Obviously, the next logical spot to go that Bears fans are interested in is offensive line. If either of the trio of Tyler Linderbaum, Zion Johnson, or Kenyon Green fall to us in the second, I think they would be perfect fits. I highly doubt they're going to be there, though, so let's get into some guys who should be. A couple of linemen I really love are Darian Kennard from Kentucky and Tyler Smith from Tulsa. Both guys potentially have the ability to play tackle or guard. Both bring power and that mean streak that you love. Kennard played right tackle at Kentucky, and he could play tackle in the pros with some development, or he could become a dominant NFL guard. Smith's game obviously requires a ton of work, as his technique is a mess, but I still love the way he plays. Just like Kennard, he played tackle in college and would require a ton of work to stay out there, but could also become a dominant guard in the NFL. If we miss out on these guys, Smith's teammate is someone I love a lot late in the draft. Offensive guard from Tulsa, Chris Paul. Not the NBA point guard, guys. He's going to go later than Smith, but has a much more refined technique and scored very high on his athletic test. Guys like Paul, as well as Cade Mays, Jason Hines, and other guards should be available late. Now I'm going to get to the guy that if he is on the board, I think he has a great shot at becoming our pick at number 39. I've briefly talked on this page before about defensive tackle Logan Hall from Houston. He is the prototypical three-tech build that Flus is looking for. Very few guys in the NFL fit this mold. He looks like the next to Forrest Buckner or Arik Armstead. I have mentioned plenty of times how important the three technique is to this defense. It's the defensive tackle spot that is asked to put interior pressure on the quarterback and control gaps in the run game. Logan Hall would be a perfect fit. And just like all you guys, I really want the Bears to address the offense in this draft. However, if Logan Hall is the first pick, you should not be disappointed. I have talked in length about how deep this class is, but one of the few positions that doesn't have incredible depth is that three tech spot. There are a couple guys who could fit the mold later in the draft, like Thomas Booker or Haskell Garrett. I would say other options like offensive line, wide receiver, and defensive back are all much deeper than defensive tackle. Next up is a linebacker that has been talked about quite a bit on Bears Twitter. Troy Anderson. I think he would be a perfect fit at the linebacker spot next to Roquan Smith, and he could play any of the three linebacker positions. I think he would be best at the mic with the athletic profile of none other than Brian Urlacher. I don't think we would need to take Troy at 39, but I'm not sure he's going to last to the third round. If he does, I think he would be a great pick. I love watching this kid. He could even start out as a backup or special teamer that can come in and play any of the three linebacker spots, or even potential to play safety on rundowns. He's just one of the guys that the more I've watched of him, the more I'd like to see him in Chicago. There has been a ton of talk about the Bears getting a cornerback. Well, I don't think corner is as important in Fluce's scheme as most people do, and I also like Thomas Graham Jr. more than most. That said, this is a deep and talented cornerback class, and we could definitely add some talent across from Jalen Johnson. I've heard a ton of talk about Roger McCreary, Kyler Gordon, and others. The guy that really impresses me, though, and I think would fit this scheme perfectly, is Nebraska cornerback Cam Taylor-Britt. He's 5'11", 195, and is an athletic freak. He has the long arms and length you want, and is a boundary receiver and has all the physicality you can ask for. He can blitz the cornerback, he plays the run with ferocity, and he could really make an impact in that run game. He is a playmaker with the ball in his hands and excels in zone coverage. I would love to see Cam added to our secondary, and I think we could even get him in the third round. Another guy I want to mention at corner is Houston cornerback Marcus Jones, who is undersized, but I think would be a perfect nickelback in this scheme. Lastly, I have to talk about a couple of safeties. There will be safeties available for us in the second round with guys like Jaquan Brisker, Lewis Seen, Jalen Petre, all mocked in that area. The guy I'm most intrigued by, though, will go just a bit later than those guys. Local product from Illinois, safety Kirby Joseph. I love Joseph's game. He's a sound tackler and has the athletic ability to play either safety spot. He has good hands and solid range. He's not a pure box safety or a pure free safety, more of a hybrid player, and I just really like his game. Then I can't leave the video without mentioning my guy that I've been mocking to us in the 5th round for almost an entire year now, Smoke Monday. I've seen some other Bears YouTubers and Twitters get on this guy, but I've been on him for a long time. His name caught my attention at the earliest stages, but his game is what kept me coming back. I think Smoke is more of a strong safety in the NFL who lacks the range to play over top as a free safety patrolling center field. He does, however, deliver the boom in the run game and is a sufficient tackler with enough speed to get by. He actually reminds me a bit of Adrian Amos or Cam Chancellor, and is a dude I would love to see in Chicago. He would be a fan favorite for sure. Bears fans would love the name and the hard-hitting physical play he would bring to the defense, and at the very least, he would be a backup who packs a punch on special teams. Draft day is here, guys. As promised, I will be dropping multiple videos a day every day of the NFL draft. I will cover every pick we make with both instant reactions and full breakdowns coming. I'll also have best players available for day 2 and day 3 of the draft. Stay tuned. Make sure to like the video and subscribe. Until next time, bear down.